My friend told me, if you want to make money, focus on not Indian audience, focus on the US UK audience. Okay. So he told me, post on US UK timing. I used to wake up at night and I used to post the content. One night my father saw me. He was like, son, I'm taking your phone here. It's a rule. By 9 p.m. the phone will be on my table. Something about 1 or 2 a.m. in the night. I slowly gone in his room. Like pulled out my phone. Suddenly the kitchen lights are on. He just came and kind of pulled my pillow, took out that phone. Bam. But still, I had that I need the US audience. So what I started doing is my phone was destroyed. I used to go and take out my mom's phone. And I keep on doing it.
He's not going to break mom's phone.
Yeah, I know.
Welcome back, everyone. This is the Quantus Network podcast, and we're here with a very special guest, Sujal Lethwani. I'm excited to get to know you. We've met a few times over, through comedy improv. You showed me a little bit about what you do. You have a huge following online, and you're quite young as well. So you got this kind of like, So talk to me. How did you find network school?
How did I found network school? So I'm a huge follower of Balaji, like many of us here, and found that like I was looking for a place. For example, I live in Dubai for right now. I shifted my base from India to Dubai, but Dubai there is a problem that you have to order your food every time. So if you want to go gym, it's kind of hectic to manage everything. So on Balaji's Twitter, we found out about this network school and that you will get food, gym, sessions, and good people to network with, everything at one place. That excites me the most about this part.
So it was sort of like, hey, this is going to be a more convenient lifestyle.
Yes.
And so how did you find out about Balaji? Was it through tech or was it geopolitics or what was the angle there?
I'm a crypto guy. I found out about his opinions on Bitcoin and how this crypto capital is going to work, and really find his thoughts very insightful on crypto.
So tell me about your journey making content, because you have, how many followers do you have now?
Total, we have network of 4.4 million followers.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a lot.
Yeah.
And you've been doing it for how long now?
8 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how did that start, and what happened? What was the initial? Tell me the story.
Okay, so like it's been 8 years, and I have started this when I was 15-year-old kid, and I was not good at studies, and I was like, because of less marks, I was kind of a little bit depressed at that point of time. And when you are depressed, where do you go? Your friends will make fun of you. Your mom will just scold you. You go to internet, and I searched some really good videos that motivated me a lot. So like, this is the energy I got from this video, and I want to share this energy with the world. At that point of time, everyone in school started talking about Instagram.
Okay.
It was the new cool thing there. Okay. And I was like, okay, let me create, here's a market gap. No one is creating, or very less people are creating motivational content on Instagram. Let me create an account. And at that point of time, I think I was a huge loser.
Wait, hold on a second. So hold on. You were 15 years old and you were thinking about market gaps? Like, did I get that right?
Yeah, it was like no one is doing it and very less people are doing it. So I should do it.
Okay, that's impressive. That's an entrepreneurial spirit. Like, are your parents entrepreneurs or? Yeah.
My father run a small shop in our place. So yeah.
Okay, so you had a kind of idea like, okay, supply and demand, like, okay, I got something special I can offer here. So
Yes.
Anyway, continue. So you felt like a loser.
Yes, I think I was a huge loser because I was not scoring good in my exams. But at the same time, whenever you feel like you are a loser, you have a feeling that one day you will become a leader. So I started an account with the name of Loser to Leader.
Wow.
Okay. And slowly people start loving the content we were presenting there. And it became one of the biggest motivational account in India with 500K plus followers. And we thought that not just motivational content, there's demand for lot of content. Started meme page. We started the like news content, current affairs, focusing on US UK audience because the pay was better there, right? So we have built it, and in this journey, our account got banned. The Loser Twitter account was recently banned
Wow.
I have lost more than millions of followers because of the copyright claims, community guidelines and stuff.
Wow.
So, but all in all, in last 8 years, we have grown 4.4 million followers and work with the biggest brands in India.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, so I mean, that's interesting that it's like you kind of cast a spell in some sense. You said loser to leader, but it was really for you, but it was like you kind of, you know, they say in jazz, like fake it till you make it.
Yes.
Or, you know, I saw this thing recently. It's like, you know, how do you go to sleep? It's you pretend you're asleep and then eventually it becomes real.
Yes.
You know, it's like, so that's really beautiful to see. You know, I love seeing these kind of, you know, these arcs of people's careers. So I'm curious, like, I mean, when your account gets banned, I mean, is that like that feels like that could be a death blow to some people.
There's a story also. Thank you so much. So my account loser to reader, I was like finding it hard managing my school exams at the same time this page, right? So I hired a guy from my own city who will do the posting for me. And that guy, like, one morning I wakes up and I figure out I just logged out of my account. Okay.
Oh,
And I was
no.
like, oh no. I hope that what I'm thinking is not that. But it was. He tried to hack my account and it was gone. But I was connected to few really good folks who helped me to recover my account. So we have faced hacks. Then later we have also like seen accounts got removed. But now it's kind of our habit. Like build 10 plus brands, 5 or 7 are already gone. So like it's very okay. Like, okay, we are okay to lose.
It's just part of the cost of doing business.
Yes.
I mean, that's pretty baller. You just take a punch like that and just keep rolling.
Yes, sir.
I mean, look, I think a missing feature from these social apps, and they probably don't put it on purpose, you know, but is you need to have like accounts with superior and inferior permissions, you know, so you can say like, oh, like this account, this login can post, but it can't change the password. It can't, you know, I mean, we have solutions for this in the world of computer science. It's not it's not rocket science, but it's crazy. So you said out of 10 accounts, you've lost maybe 7?
Yeah.
Wow.
And almost for the same kind of copyright reason, we recently lost Viral Theories. It's one of the biggest account. It have approx 1 million plus followers. At the peak, it was reaching 100 million plus people on a monthly basis.
Wow.
It's bigger than one of the biggest America media houses, like this kind of reach.
Wow.
Okay. So the problem is that YouTube is what platform is superior according to me is much YouTube. YouTube have that kind of feature in which you can add people and you can add them as a manager,
that's right.
editor. But Instagram, I don't know what Mark is doing, but I really hate this guy. He have made my life, but I still hate him.
Yeah, I understand. It's a love-hate relationship. I mean, this also, you know, I mean, are you familiar with Nostr?
Nostr, yeah.
Yeah, I was really inspired by their story. I mean, I think, you know, it's very difficult to get a network effect with what they're trying to do unless there's like a disaster somewhere else that they can take advantage of. But like, you know, this simple idea of like, actually, why don't we make social media should be like neutral rails? It should be a kind of like a public good, sort of like email is a neutral rails. Like nobody owns the concept of email, but you have different email providers and they all speak the same language, so they're interoperable and you can download all your emails and upload them to a separate, you know, so it's like you have a better sense of ownership over your data in that scenario. But, and it's like, you know, social media has been just completely, it's kind of overcomplicated because really it's that all these different platforms are pretty much the same. I mean, it's like there's multimedia, there's like text, there's a picture, there's a profile, there's a follow graph, you know, and you can like things, you know, and you can repost them. And it's like they're basically like I'd say 90% of it overlaps between all the different you know, groups, but of course there's the network effect, and that's their kind of their moat, and also it's a tremendous amount of power to like build this thing up and then be able to just like kick people out. It's like, you know, exiling people from the tribe, and people spend, you know, they build up their whole careers on these things, and so I think, you know, being able to like take your data and go somewhere else is would actually. I don't expect the big guys to ever do that. But
what do you think? Like, do you think decentralized social media will get the attention Like there is been in past there have been like few, for example, Farcaster has raised lot of money, but still they didn't got the attention they expected, right? What do you think is the future of decentralized social media?
Well, there were a few before. There was minds.com. I used to go on there. I mean, it was fun because it was kind of like, it was more like a kind of the rejects corner of the internet. It was kind of like, 4chan or some like, a hacker shit, but it was just kind of like the same shit being recycled over and over, and not a huge community, a lot of bots, a lot of porn, and then like, and then going back further, there was Steemit. Steemit had a pretty good shot at it. But their token model didn't make sense. They would just pay people. It was like, okay, why would this be worth anything? And they were buying their token, as far as I understand, they were buying their token on the market to kind of like prop up the value. But it just it was an incomplete design, and it's not easy to get tokenomics right. And actually, similar thing. One of my previous startups, Lunar, we did it was Wikipedia on the blockchain, but it had like peer review and had an ad system, and I think we had a well-designed token system, but we didn't, couldn't get to scale again. It was a scaling issue to make the unit economics work out. There was a timeline where like Elon didn't buy Twitter. And there was this sort of like, people were starting to panic, like, oh, there's no free speech online. Where do we go? And I think that would have been the timeline where like maybe something like Farcaster or maybe Nostr. I feel like Nostr would have attracted the sort of free speech crowd more than Farcaster. Farcaster feels very kind of like, I don't know, sort of like Web3 socialist, kind of like, people like, they like to be nice to each other there, So I don't know, I hope that we can move to a kind of like, interoperability between these things, but I don't see a way to force the existing players to do it unless like a government did it, and of course that would have its own negative consequences. Who owns the relationship between you and your followers? It's an interesting question because on the one hand, it's your content that made the platform valuable, but then their platform helped those people find you and connected you. So, they deserve some kind of cut out of the deal, but I feel like, them getting to sort of just cast you out into the wilderness is maybe a little too much power. And they kicked Trump off of social media, and that was such a power move. That was a moment where it was like, oh, are the tech companies bigger than the president of the United States? And for a little bit they were, and it doesn't seem like they are anymore. But do you use Farcaster?
No, absolutely not. Yeah. I personally think it will be very hard for just to pull out. It's kind of a network effect, right? You have to bring in a lot of good people, then they will bring new one. So, and this social media, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube have spent years to build that network effort. So it will be very hard to break.
Yeah, and the first one is easier to build than the next one, and it just gets harder as time goes on because people are already kind of committed to one or more of these things. Are you familiar with Metcalfe's law?
Metcalfe's law.
It's from like computer science. They say that the value of a network increases quadratically with the number of members of the network. It's sort of like the idea of like a telephone. Imagine if like only one person has a telephone. Well, it's like, it's not very useful, right? Yeah. But then if I can call one person, there's one possible connection. But if I can call two different people, now there's my two and then a third connection. And if there's, and so it increases, faster than linear. But yeah, so okay. What's next for you? Are you just going to keep on making content until you have a goal? Like, what are you going to get 10 million followers, 100 million? Like, what's, where is this going?
Want to become the best. In 2021, when I was 19-year-old, started creating content with my face. Before that, I used to hate showing my face. Like I used to think like this is a conversation I really want to have with my younger self. Stop giving a fuck about yourself.
I remember being a teenager and it was like, oh, everyone's going to see my pimple. And it's like, everyone's just obsessed with their own bullshit. Like nobody's even looking at your pimple, But
when I was small, I knew like personal brand will be the future. I should jump because I have built the theme pages at that point of time. So I knew how algorithms and things work. So I was like, personal brand is going to future. But I was still not able to encourage myself to do it because I used to feel that my voice is like girls. that point I didn't had the mustache, so I was thinking I was not masculine enough. If my my friends at school will see my videos, they will be like start bullying me. And so I had that kind of many kind of insecurities. I had a fear I'm not good enough. But that's the reason I also absolutely hate myself. Like, why didn't I started early?
Oh.
At the same time, I absolutely love myself. After 2 years, at least I started when I became 19-year-old.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's, sometimes people have, we get all these like expectations from somewhere, right? It's like parents always want the best for their kids, but sometimes it's like, I really need you to do this thing because I didn't get to do it, or like, we're going to starve to death unless you're famous, I mean, people get all kinds of ideas in their head, but yeah, it seems to me like you're doing great. So what makes you so good at making content? Can you teach us?
Okay, so I will try to summarize it as like in less words possible. Okay,
Sure.
If you want to start creating content, you should look for 3 parts. First is the foundation, second is acceleration, and third is a transformation. Foundation, you should have a clear why. If you look back, Chris, in your life, like there was at least few incidents in which you have gone all in. Maybe your parents was against you, maybe your world was against you, odd was against you, but still you went it because you had the burning desire. And there was no excuse that was standing between you and that burning desire, because you had the clear why the F I am doing this, right? So if you are starting to create content, it's going to be very hard. You have to go at least for one year, at least for 1 year. Okay. So you should have a clear why you're doing it. If you have a strong why and a bigger why, clear why, then you will not give up even you are not getting the views. Okay. Second is first is the foundation. Second is the kind of learning about acceleration, finding out the ideas and script. I will try to summarize as less in words. Try to find out who is the best people in your niche or whatever the content you are creating, who you feel as an inspiration, or you see they have a good persona.
So kind of like a mentor or somebody to look up to, a hero.
Yeah, you can say that. And someone you like, you want to create content like. Maybe Joe Rogan. If you are starting a podcast, maybe Joe Rogan. When I started content, I was like, I want to become like Coin Bureau. He run the biggest crypto YouTube channel, right? So you need to have kind of 10 people like that, and just go and go on the Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, whatever platform you are looking for, and see in last 100 days what content, like 5 content on that particular influencer got the most engagement, most views. Write it down. Write down the 5 content that got the most engagement. Write down the views, write down the comments, and what was the content idea, what kind of hook you have used, first 10 lines. And when you will do it with 10 creators and like 5 plus, so you will get 50 content ideas. Now, narrow it down to 10 ideas that you personally have got, that if I will do it, I will add my flavor and I can make it much better. Now you got 10 content ideas that are already working from the people you follow and love the most, and now you have to try to spray and pray.
Right. Yeah. No, so it's sort of pre-qualified leads in some sense. Totally. That's quite brilliant. Yeah. So you're looking at people who have already got something working, and what's the best thing they have, and then finding the one that speaks to you personally as clearly as possible. I mean, do you have a spreadsheet? Do you use spreadsheets for all this?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
My team, we call it kind of pre-mortem. Okay. So we do pre-mortem and post-mortem whenever we create content. Okay. Pre-mortem is something, whatever, for example, if I'm going to create this particular piece of content, what challenges I'm going to face. Maybe like B-rolls, maybe like podcast, arranging the guests, something like that. Okay. Just writing out the problems, what are the solution I'm going to put it. So your life will get much easier. When the content goes live, after 1 week, what we do is we put it in a spreadsheet and we do the post-mortem. We try to figure out how many likes it got, what's the average view duration, what's the CTR, and all the data that already the social media is providing you. And when you will look that data and you will see 10 posts, you will see the pattern there. This particular topic, I'm getting much engagement. This particular kind of hook is working much better for me. Okay. So now you will eventually know, okay, this is the thing that's working for me. I will double down on this. And thing is not working. I will cut my losses.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, it's kind of as simple as that, huh?
Yes.
I mean, it seems like a well, it's a system and it seems to work for you. So wait, so that was acceleration.
Yes.
We had foundation, acceleration, and then
Transformation.
And is that the where you cut and like double down and cut away?
Transformation is the part where the 99% of the content creators fail. Okay, it's the part where people give up the most. Transformation is transforming your mind to make sure. It's again something like pre-mortem. You will, for example, if you are starting a content creation journey, you should write it down yourself. Again, what are the challenges I'm going to face, and what can stop me creating the content? Maybe it can be the judgment of other people. Maybe it can be the consistency. Maybe it setting the unrealistic expectation. So you have to like write it down, and you have to figure it out. Okay, I think I will not be a consistent enough. Okay, I should challenge myself. For example, what I did, I took a challenge, 100 days challenge, something like that, like 2 years back. What I did is, I know I can give up on this, the challenge I'm taking of putting 100 days straight, putting content every day, one piece of reel, and on all my social putting content. Okay, so to make sure I don't fail and I don't give up in between, what I did is I created a group with my friends. And I told them, guys, for the rest 100 days, I'm going to post at least one reel a day. Okay?
Oh, okay.
In case, if I even miss a one day, you all are going to go on a trip from my funds. Okay?
Wow.
Okay. And
so you had your ass on the line. You were like, your friends are like, we like you, but we like the money more. So.
Yeah, I'm going to fund all of your trip. It's a trip. The trip was for the Goa. It's a cool place in India. And the twist is, and I will not be the part of that trip. Okay,
they're gonna go without you.
Yes, the worst thing that can happen with you, your best friends are going on a good trip without you.
I mean, that's pretty interesting too, because it set up the incentive was for them to try to distract you and make you not post, right? It was almost like you created an adversarial kind of environment. But I don't know if maybe your friends don't do that. But did they try to stop you from making content?
No, they were very cheering, and I was like, if we do it after 100 days, I'm going to give you party from my side.
Okay.
So they were like incentivized to keep me moving.
Okay, so they're gonna win either way.
Yeah. But it was for me, because I know the worst thing can happen to me is I'm sending my friends on a trip from my funds, and I'm not there and enjoying with them.
You'd be the loser who was left out while your friends are having a great party. Yeah, wow.
So that motivated me to go straight for 100 days. At that point of time, I traveled 3 countries. I didn't just posted content. I used to go gym and everything. I took it was a huge challenge. I was in a cruise ship going from Mumbai to Dubai. Okay. I was doing gym there also. I was shooting content there also. Even after traveling 3 countries, my content kept going, my gym kept going. So this is how you train yourself that you will be consistent. So this is a transformation, the mindset. You have to make sure anything that can come as a pre-mortem, anything that can come as a challenge for you that can stop you, just kill it right away.
So where did you learn all these ideas? Was this like you were getting these ideas online and kind of digesting them? And you must recognize this is an unusual level of sort of drive you have and ambition. So where did you get it from?
Okay, so it's some like when it comes to content, on all the pages combined, theme pages, and we have posted 40,000 plus pieces of content. That's a lot of data. Okay, wow. That's a lot of data. 8 years, and when it comes to personal brand, posted 1,000 plus pieces of content. Like shown my face 1,000 times on the camera. So after doing all of this, you keep on failing, you keep on trying, you understand the certain things that works and certain patterns that does not work, and also borrowed many ideas from like multiple sources from Naval Ravikant, Balaji, brilliant mind likes that. So yeah,
well, I like that term. I think it was Gauguin. Like it was a painter who said like steal like an artist.
Yes.
Meaning like not literally steal things, but like take inspiration from everything, and that there's nothing stopping you from, learning from other people, even people you dislike, especially people you dislike. I think to me, that's always a strong, like if you have beef with someone, that's a strong indicator, like try to transform that, that enemy into a teacher. Like what do I need to, what is it that I'm really mad about? What is it, some aspect of myself that I'm like disgusted with and I like spit it onto them, or are they showing me something I could be doing to that I'm not? So what's your favorite part about the network school? You've been here for how long now?
I have came here in June, and this is my second month, and I'm going back for the Diwali.
Okay.
You know about Diwali?
The Festival of Lights.
Yeah. Have you celebrated Diwali till now?
I haven't been to it in India, but in Bali we've been, and of course it's a little bit different flavor, but it's pretty similar, and it's quite a beautiful festival.
Yeah.
But it's quite long in India, right?
Yeah.
The Indians know how to
It's
party.
kind of a Christmas for Indians. Yes. So
How long do people take off work for Diwali?
my team will hate answering this. Generally, public holidays are something like 5 days.
Okay, wow.
But we give our team 3 days.
No, I like it. You got to keep a tight ship, you don't become a winner by being lazy.
Yes,
but that's funny.
it's one of the please try to have at least one Diwali in India. Okay, I'm sure you will love it. It's the best festival. Even the best part about India is there's people from multiple religion, Muslim, Christian, but Diwali is a festival that is Diwali for everyone. Right? It's not for a specific religion. Everyone celebrate from the heart.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Oh, I see that in your eyes. Well, and it's does it happen in December or around December?
Yes, next month. So according to Hindu calendar, it's keep on changing every year.
Oh, okay.
So this time it's going to be on 20th October 2025.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
So is it synchronized with the movement of the planet, the heavenly bodies?
Yes.
Is it based on the moon?
Yeah, something like that. I'm not much aware, but yeah, something like that.
Okay. It's interesting how how important the planets have been in different religions. The Greek gods were all named after the stars, and there's a kind of I would say the whole New Age movement in the U.S. is kind of this mixture of there's some Hindu yoga concepts with zodiac and things like that, and so which is of course also based on the stars and the planets and.
Do you believe on astrology based on planets?
Well, okay, I think of it as more just a language where well, I mean, certainly if you're in a place with a lot of hippies, it's a social lubricant to learn the language of astrology, and I think it as a kind of descriptive personality system. It's oh, Geminis are like this, and towards maybe it's not truly true, but it does. It gives you a lot of vocabulary for talking about personalities and kind of a lens to look through human behavior that's kind of interesting. I think it's such a. I don't really believe in astrologers telling your future or something like that, but I do think it's fascinating to think about how we're connected to nature and how the various cycles of the universe affect us. Certainly we know from circadian rhythm. If you wake up with the sun and go to sleep at a reasonable time, that really improves your health. Also astronomy is really cool. So if you're, it's sort of crystals are amazing, right?
Yeah.
And then there's kind of this kind of esoteric kind of new age side of the crystals where we'll use it to heal and it makes you feel certain things. And there's this whole, and I have no idea where they came up with all these ideas that this crystal makes you feel a certain thing. Did they, where did is that a test I can do for myself? How do I prove it? But they write very nice, long books about this stuff. And on the other side, crystals are fucking amazing. There's this grid of atoms, and then they some of them there's irregularities. Sometimes an atom is supposed to be there, but it's missing, or there's a different atom there than is normal, and then it causes the color to change as light passes through it. And in quantum computers they use crystals to split beams, so you shoot a certain kind of laser at a certain kind of crystal, and it creates one photon will split into two entangled photons.
Okay.
And crystals are a critical part of even classical computers. In all of our laptops and all of our phones, there's little crystals and for timing. And so crystals are amazing. And if people want to make a kind of a religious story about it, I don't have a problem with it. I mean, I don't know how useful that is, but but it's also it's nice to tell a good story about your life. If you feel inspired and you feel you live in a magic world, and you you said, you just changed the way you were thinking, and it changed your whole life, right? So. If someone needs a crystal to help them improve the quality of their thinking, like go for it, bro. But it's like Dumbo, where they had he had to have the feather to make himself fly, and like it turned, no, you don't need the feather, but if it's training wheels, you're like, make yourself think of something positive. Feel something positive when you look at the stars, or when or when you look at the crystals, and but ultimately it's leading to mastery over yourself. And I think that's, it's important to remember that that's the goal, is that you don't need the crystal. You don't need these props. It's coming from inside you.
Diwali is a celebration of rightness, win of rightness over evil. Okay. So it's long, Lord Rama, how he conquered and kind of killed the evil Ravan, okay, who tried to not sure if I'm putting in right words, kind of steal the his wife, Lord Rama wife.
Okay? Oh yeah, the what was her name? The princess, the princess Sita.
Sita.
That's right, wow. Sita. Right, Sita Ram.
I'm going to get cancelled for
this. Bro, Sita's gonna be mad, bro. She's gonna come to you in your dreams. She's gonna do all kinds of bad things to you. So Ravana, but what does Ravana represent?
Ravana, evil spirit, evil spilike
what does he want? He just wants, for no reason at all, he just wants to be bad?
He just wanted his wife to, that's it. And it was something adharma, something very wrong, right? So Ravan fought him, and Lord Ram fought the Ravan, and eventually he won. And to celebrate that, every year we celebrate Diwali.
So is this the Ramayana? Is that same story? Is that okay?
Yeah,
I remember seeing it as a kid. There was an animated one with the
it
flying
was
monkeys.
So good. It was so good. It was part of all the Indian kids.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Yeah. My friend who was really into I don't know, weird history and other mythologies and stuff, he introduced it to me when I was in high school. But this friend of mine, he's a special guy. In high school, so he grew up in he didn't know his father.
Okay.
And his father was alive but had disappeared, and he was in a very conservative Catholic family, buttoned up. Everything was about propriety. It was in New Orleans, and he was just a weirdo, very strange, into vampires, and then mythology, and learning ancient languages like the runes, Futhork, learning some Sanskrit and Hebrew, and just he had some kind of obsession with magic and secret societies and stuff. And he was the only person in his family that was like that.
Okay.
And there was no that influence wasn't coming from the people around him, and it wasn't coming from school. I mean, he kind of got me into it, but I didn't know anyone else who was into weird stuff like that. And anyway, then I remember we turned 17 around the same time, and he happened to meet his father. Somehow his father came back in his life, and so his mom had said nothing about his father, just basically hidden the whole thing from him. And he met his father, and his father was into the same weird shit that he was, just conspiracies all day long, and magic and weird electromagnetism stuff. And he was like it's clearly genetic. Yes. It's some kind of it was just so oh, that's clearly his son. You couldn't have. So I don't know. I wonder just how much is in our genes. Is there, how much of our lives are determined by these weird little molecules that we just recently discovered. And,
yes, DNA.
Yeah, DNA. To DNA.
To DNA.
The tree of life.
What about you? What brings you to the NS?
I got into crypto because I was I had this very rebellious teenage, ever since I was a teenager.
Which year?
I found out about Bitcoin, I guess 2012. And I was a math student. I didn't have any kind of I didn't have an investor mindset. I didn't really understand finance that well, but I liked technology and I liked math. And I had this crazy friend who was he was oh, look, you can go on Silk Road and buy all this stuff. And I was oh, that sounds scary. But then I was okay, what is this thing? And I read the Wikipedia article about it. And I remember there was this this little bing, I was oh, this seems important. Like somehow this is like I never even conceived of the idea of separating money from banks and governments. Like how is that even possible? Anyway, I mean, fast forward, I ended up just making this whole thing my career, for better or worse. And anyway, but like, so I found out about Balaji because I heard some talk and he was talking about the importance of exit, like how like, if you want some kind of leverage in a negotiation, you have to be able to walk away. And this is sort of like kind of the basis of, I don't know, I guess the basis of like free market capitalism or of like, how do you get good behavior from other people is because you have options, and monopolies tend to have very poor customer service. And so, I remember that stuck in my head and and then later I heard about The Network State, the book, and I started reading it and I was like, let's fucking go. I always had this very rebellious spirit when I was a kid, listen to punk rock and I was just sort of like, I didn't just accept the authority of people around me. I demanded that they prove it, that they earn my respect. And there were some wonderful people, adults around me who did earn my respect. So it took like, I didn't sort of give it away for free, but I did give it, eventually find mentors. But
tell us the story about the most rebellious thing you have done when you were a kid.
Rebellious thing? Oh, I don't even know if I should say it on camera, to be honest. But I'm like in middle school, and I'm at an all Christian school, and we had a Bible class, and there's a Bible teacher, and the entire class. I mean, like basically, I was only at that school for like a year or so, and the entire class, it was just me debating him from the beginning to the end. I was like, I did not, and it wasn't toxic.
What was your age at that point of time?
It would have been like maybe 8th grade, so it would have been like 15.
Oh.
But it wasn't super toxic in that like I wasn't insulting him and he wasn't insulting me, and I think he just sort of felt like, okay, this was actually valuable for the whole class, so he would just engage with me. And I would question him about like, what does evil mean? Like, is a tornado evil because it destroyed my house? Is the lion evil because it eats the gazelle? And it's just an innocent gazelle. Like I was like, I had this like autistic, like computer like approach to everything. I was like, I follow it to its conclusion, and yet I was too scared of hell to sort of jump to the conclusion of like, okay, maybe I don't need this system. It was like, okay, no, I'm in this system, so I'm going to figure out like, what does God really want me to do? What is good and evil? And it was challenging for the teacher. He didn't have answers for everything I had to answer. And I think, but he was very gracious and honest. He would say like, I'm not sure, but like, let's explore it. Like, let's ask a different question too. And like, so there was a kind of mutual respect that developed from that interaction. But it was like, I took up the whole class. It was like for the whole year, it was just me and him talking. And I've kind of done that in multiple classes in my sort of academic career where I was like, no, the teacher's here for me, and I'm going to just, I'm going to hog all the attention. And it was like kind of greedy and like not necessarily good for the other students in some cases, but and sometimes I got like, explicit backlash from them about it, but I think I got a lot out. I think I got a lot more out of school than most people did. I think it was, when I was in grad school, like I had advisors, these like Soviet era Russian mathematicians who were just like very cold, hard people, just like, and they grew up in this like in the Soviet era, and the Soviet era was very like winner take all, and they're sort of like, okay, we're going to take the best of the best of the best students and then like turn them into the world's greatest mathematicians and try to like make them make weapons or something. And so they were like kind of defectors from that whole system, but they still had that in them, and so they were mean. But I would just go to their office and just like, I'm going to be part of your brain now, and they sort of reluctantly let me do that, and I got a ton out of it. I mean, it's like, it's like, it's so different from like, I just remember going to like, advisors and like, he's like, okay, prove this. You think, go ahead and prove that theorem or whatever. And I start trying to prove it. And then I'm like, and he's like, okay, what are you thinking? And I just start thinking aloud. And then he's just sort of like inserting questions into my thought stream. And it's kind of like creating this sort of like, oh, okay, like you need to like give names to your uncertainty. Like when you're sort of like, oh, what is that? You need to wrap it in a little abstraction layer, like X or something. Give it a name and like say, okay, what do I know about that thing? I can say it's in this set, but I don't know which member of the set it is. You know, and it was extremely beneficial to me. I don't think any other grad students got that kind of attention, and it was just because I was so fucking greedy with it. It was
Do you
like,
think you were a stubborn kid?
oh yeah, yeah.
In a good way.
Yeah, I think it has advantages and disadvantages. You know, but yeah, definitely like not an easy kid to raise or to teach or anything. But you know, in a certain situation when I really want something, I'll fucking I do it. You know, and so you know, I think that to me it's like kind of like there's like a multiplicative effect. I do believe in talent. People are different, and that, they just sort of some people run really fast, and some people like. I've been obsessed with math since I was a little kid. I knew I was going to be a mathematician before I was maybe like 5 years old. And I was like, oh, I want to be a mathematician. Like I learned like how to do the extended addition. My mom taught me, and I was like so excited about it. And I was like, oh, I want to be a mathematician. And they were sort of like, that's not really a thing. Like you could be an engineer. And it's like, okay, I'll be an engineer. And I want to be a fighter pilot. That was when I hit puberty. And I was like, I want to go fast and blow up things. So.
I think that's the reason, Chris, you became successful. Like you were a stubborn kid. Like you were not feared to ask a question. That's the reason you became successful today. Like.
Yeah, I mean, look, I could have had. I think there were definitely small deviations I could have taken along the way where I would have had much more money, or I've certainly fumbled things in my life. So.
It's a learning.
It is, yeah. No, I don't. You can't spend your life like wishing things were different.
Totally.
But
when you spoke about that story, like you being stubborn and asking the questions, I personally think if someone want to become successful, they have to become very stubborn. For at least they should be in love for a particular thing. For example, you were in love with asking questions, math, right? So in the same way, I remember a story when I was in initial stage, when I was 15, 16 maybe. My father have given me the phone. Okay, when I used to come from school, I just throw my bag and I used to like start posting content. I used to go on that Pixel Lab app and create posts here and post on my Instagram on a daily basis. I used to do that. When I figure out I want to make more money out of it, I want to become financially independent out of this thing. What I'm doing, I was not making much, but I had the goal. Okay, and figure out. My friend told me, if you want to make money, focus on not Indian audience because they don't have that buying capacity. Focus on the US UK audience. Okay, I was like, okay, how will I figure it out? So he told me, post on US UK timing. You will automatically get the audience from that region. Okay, so I'm like, okay, I will do it. So I started posting it. Okay, I used to wake up at night and I used to post the content. One night my father saw me posting content. He was like, son, I'm taking your phone here, and from today it's a rule. By 9 p.m. the phone will be on my table, and don't even try to touch it. After you will come from school, you will get the phone. I was like, okay, father, it's totally fine. Okay, it works for me. But at the same time, I had that burning desire that I want to make money. I want to make dollars, not rupees. Okay. Okay. So I remember a night. Okay, my father have put that kind of restriction on me. You can't. So like, I at something about 1 or 2 a.m. in the night, I slowly gone in his room. Just I just kind of crawled slowly, very slowly. Okay,
like a commando sneaking behind enemy lines. Yeah.
Yes. So I was crawling slowly, and I like pulled out my phone, and I gone in my room and started posting there. It was going good. So every day I was doing it. One night I did it again, and I was posting content. Okay, and I see suddenly the kitchen lights are on. I've put my phone on the side below my pillow, and I was acting like I'm dead. My father came in and he turned on the lights, and I was acting like I'm dead and there's nothing. And he just came and kind of pulled my pillow, took out that phone, bam.
Wow.
At night time. So I was like, I'm very sorry. I will never do this kind of again. Okay. And he threw my phone So I was like a bit discouraged at that point of time.
Sure,
But-
yeah.
but
I mean, you were being ambitious, but you also, you know,
I need to follow the rules.
Sure, yeah.
That man is putting food on my table.
That's basically the first account destruction, right? You know, it's like, no, your account is out. You know?
Yeah. So, but still, I had that. I need the US dollars and the US audience. So, what I started doing is my phone was destroyed. I used to go and take out my mom's phone, and I keep on doing it.
He's not gonna break mom's phone.
Yeah, I'm not doing. And I keep posting it. Slowly build one of the biggest account. And today my father supports me.
Well, you can't come take your phone anymore, can you?
Yeah, like we paid off the debt of the family recently.
Wow. Good for you, bro.
Yeah.
I bet that feels really good.
Yes, definitely. So sometimes I share the story with my father. Papa, you have broke my phone at that day, you remember? And today because we kept on doing that content, today we are able to pay this debt. So it's like,
It's this magical moment, and when the child becomes like old enough to kind of differentiate themselves, and they sort of like seize power from the parent in some way, and sometimes it's sneaky because like they don't totally have the power yet, you know, but it's nature.
okay, I will tell you my story.
Okay.
It's been like 2 to 3 years back during the bear market, and you know how fucking hard the bear markets are, right? In crypto. So content was not performing well. We are not making much money, and even we were getting success in other parts of the business we are doing, but at the same time that success was like not kind of satisfying. Okay, even I'm getting money, but I was like, okay, I'm not happy. So I was at a point of, and my mental health was fucked. So I booked a flight just in one day. At night, I was feeling so bad. I was like, which place I should visit? I searched on ChatGPT. It was Rishikesh. Okay, I just booked the Rishikesh ticket. And also, I was like, I need to do something different. So what I did is I signed up for a retreat where you have to be silent for 7 days.
Oh wow.
You can't speak a single word. Like it's a rule there. Okay.
Wow.
So I booked it, and this was the most phenomenal experience of my life.
Wow.
That food they used to serve didn't have that masala that generally Indian food have, right? But still, it was so delicious. And the best part was no one was speaking a single word for any word. But it was like I was seeing your face, but I was still understanding what you are trying to say me. It was like we were communicating by our expression or just the smile.
Yeah.
And
wow. So you still felt connected to people.
much, yeah.
And it kind of, I guess, like maybe we over rely on words to feel connected and fill up the void in our head. You know, like it's like when people they need to go turn on the TV when they're alone at home so they don't feel alone. You know, it's sort of like the TV's playing in your head and like. You're like, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, but in few days, I by mistake said some words, but it was really good. I also switched out my phone for 7 days, so I was not using social media. So it was kind of detox, something like that. But eventually learned a lot from that part. Learned that if you don't speak, you save a lot of energy. And that brain energy you can put into your work. You can be much more creative and productive. And the best way to communicate with someone is just by smile. Simple.
Well, you have a really sweet smile.
Thank you so
like,
much.
You know, one of your.
That's what I learned from that place. I learned I smiled much more just by after 7 days of experience.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Okay. So, want to know how did you come up with Quantus? Am I pronouncing it right?
Yeah. Or you could, if you were saying Latin, it would be like Quantus.
Quantus.
Yeah, but you don't have to say it like that. You can just say Quantus.
Quantus.
Okay.
Yeah. So, Chris, how did you came up with the idea of Quantus?
A long time ago, I studied some quantum computing, and I was quite fascinated by it. But I also kind of bumped into some like invisible walls when in my explorations of it that kind of discouraged me. So I just decided to put my interests elsewhere. But we basically, I had a weird conversation with this guy, it's some stranger, and like, I don't know where these people come from. I mean, if you work in crypto, like technical stuff, like there's just like I don't know. It feels like every few months I'll just get some weirdo that appears in my life, and they're just kind of like, have this like strange conversation, and then like some guy came and told me that like governments were going to start buying Bitcoin like way before it happened. And I was like, okay, sure, like whatever. You know, and then it happened, and I was like, huh, like, why did he tell me? You know, like, I don't know. Am I on some like list to get some like, you know, so anyway, so I had some weirdos show up at the event I was at. I gave a talk, and I was trying to promote this other app, and you know, and then this guy comes up to me and wants to talk about quantum computing, says he works for, you know, NIST, and then he's like, yeah, well, like, you know, the public's not going to be notified. That when this thing happens. And I was like, oh wow, okay, that's crazy. That's something to think about. I just assumed like everybody else, there's like it was being developed in the public, and that, you know, and of course now that I thought about it, I was like, huh, well, you know, that kind of makes sense that, you know, the governments would be particularly interested in something that could crack 99% of deployed cryptography. Anyway, so I mentioned that to a mutual friend of ours, and he said, "Oh, you know, I'd just dismiss this, but I heard something similar. So maybe there's something to it." And that's how I kind of got like, "Oh, okay, maybe this is a thing," you know, and like, "Oh, there's this wave coming," and I was just kind of excited to, you know, I had a previous project that, you know, I put my heart and soul into, and it didn't have the success I wanted, and it was I was ready to try something else. So yeah, I was like, oh, post-quantum cryptography. I mean, I like cryptography. You know, post-quantum feels like an excuse to learn more about quantum computing. And when I was a child, math was my favorite subject. And it was my favorite because it felt like it had this like frequency of truth to it. It was like so reliable. It doesn't matter like how you turn the problem. There's different ways to solve it. They all converge on the same answer, or sort of the same truth. And so it felt like, so I became sort of maybe addicted to it, is maybe not exactly the right word, but I really learned to love
Obsessed.
that. I feel like studying computer science and math deeply changed the way I think. It made me, gave me like more precision and more like intellectual rigor, and you know, and I think also like computer science somehow has this like, as it was particularly computer programming, is such a great way to learn about science. Like, not in the sense of like science and like, oh, there's biology and there's chemistry and there's a body of facts. It was like, no, this loop of like try something and get feedback, and then try to again update. You know, this kind of like loop of like, how do you learn things? You know, and because like, you know, the compiler can be very brutal. You know, you like, oh, I think this is how the program works, and the compiler's like, no. You know, and they're like, well, what about this? No, you know, and so, you know, of course it could be very frustrating, but you build up this tolerance of like, okay, it didn't work, whatever. And I think it actually kind of helps. I think a lot of smart like professors would benefit from going deep into computer programming, not because they need to become programmers, but because it beats your ego down to be constantly told you're wrong by the computer. And there's like no way around it. Your code just doesn't compile. And the compiler might be lying to you about why, you know, but either way, your code doesn't compile. And it's just like doing that hundreds, thousands of times, you just sort of like, you get used to being wrong. And so then it's not like such a big deal to be wrong. It's sort of like, you know, as a salesperson, you practice like hearing no over and over, you know. What initially drew me to quantum computing was this sense of like, oh, that nature has this like inherent kind of unpredictability to it, but you can kind of wrap it, if you just, it's almost like, you know, like a lucid dream. Where like if you try to control the dream too hard, then you tend to wake up, or at least that's my experience. It's like, you know, be like, make this happen, and then it's like, yeah. But if you kind of like move it more gently, you know, like with like just more of a gesture instead of like a strike, then it kind of it'll be more compliant. So I feel like the quantum computing was something about this, like that nature, you know, has a certain way she likes to be touched, you know, and if you're too like you're 0, you're 1, you know, you kind of like just try to nail it down, and she doesn't like that. It's like too, you know, it's too harsh. And so like, oh, okay, actually like you can be a 0 or a 1, and I'll just kind of like let you kind of spin around and do your own thing in your little probability cloud. And like, it's okay. I'll occasionally ask, you know, like, are you 0? Are you plus or minus? You know, like, so using this like very strange behavior of reality at the scale as a computing platform feels somehow more, I don't know, more balanced and kind of like holistic than, you know, the sort of math can be very like austere, and like, it's like you're in the glacier. It's like very cold and like iron bars and like certainty. It's a fine place to build a castle, but it's like, you know, but maybe it doesn't have such a soft touch to it, you know? And so I don't know, does that make sense? I don't know, I kind of feel like rambling a bit, but
I'm very curious to know, for example, this kind of base for you, the math you have learned, like, and the curiosity you got for quantum computing. Do you feel so? For example, the blockchains. Do you feel blockchains like Bitcoin, Ethereum, or Solana will be destroyed by quantum computing in future?
I mean, I hope not. I think that it's the sort of thing that I think if we are more proactive and sort of like scare the monkeys a little bit, that people will do it sooner rather than later, and then it'll be okay. Some of the blockchains are going to be harder to update than others for different reasons. So, I built my whole career around blockchain. I certainly don't want to see these things blow up. And also, in many ways, the technology is not really the bottleneck. It's all the people and the organizations and the politics where the purity of the math and technology meets the real world of like humans trying to use it for something. I think it's concerning. I think there's a timeline where it's a disaster, and then there's a timeline on the opposite side where it's sort of like we get our shit together and we figure it out, and then we avert disaster. And then I think there's like a lot of gray area in there where like maybe like one chain hits a disaster and then all the other chains sort of like, oh shit, we gotta do this now. And I think the teams that are like the newer blockchains like Solana and Sui that have a culture of being very agile and fast, I think they're more likely to upgrade in time. And I feel like Bitcoin's culture of like, we already won, the number went up, we never have to change anything. It's kind of dogmatic and arrogant attitude. I feel like that's the most dangerous place to be. Like if you think you already won, like get ready to be disrupted.
Okay. Recently, I saw a comment from a founder of Solana, Anatoly, and he did a comment on Bitcoin that they should be quantum resistance before the quantum computing hits. Okay, and few folks from Bitcoin who have contributed a lot to Bitcoin ecosystem was kind of not in the favor of this particular thing. What's your thought on that?
The Bitcoin culture is super toxic, and I don't think it's like organic. I think that Bitcoin has some very powerful enemies that don't want peer-to-peer electronic cash to really take off and scale to global. Money is such a weapon. The U.S. in particular really weaponized the dollar over the past few decades, and I don't think they wanted to let that go. So they've got this guy now, I forgot his name, he was one of the Lightning co-founders, and he was saying, I don't think we'll see a quantum computer in our lifetime. But he's the one who's going to work on some quantum fork. And it's like, okay, first of all, that's not the guy you want working on the quantum fork. You want him to believe in what he's doing, right? But and they're also, last time I checked, they're choosing Falcon, which is like not as standardized. It's like a very complex algorithm. They're using the smallest key size because they're worried about the signatures and the public keys taking up so much space, and we can't increase the block size because that would be a disaster. And I think there's a crisis coming for Bitcoin. Okay. And I think that there are vultures and predators waiting for Bitcoin to stumble. And so for example, like BlackRock has an ETF, billions in Bitcoin in that ETF. And that ETF has disclosures in it. And one of the risk disclosures is quantum computing could threaten the price of this ETF, right? And BlackRock is also investing tons of money in quantum computing through their of course they invest in tons of things, right? Yes. It's not that unusual. When you have $10 trillion, there's only so many things to invest in, right? But also in their ETF, they say that in the event of a contentious fork, they get to pick which one they'll honor. And maybe they could honor both. It's possible, but they've got their finger on the scale, so to speak. So is it possible that like this quantum threat comes closer and closer and closer, and the Bitcoin community just can't get their shit together because they're too busy fighting about filters and JPEGs, and then oh no, we've got a crisis. We need an emergency fork. Oh, fortunately, BlackRock has a fork ready because they're responsible. And now let's just, okay, well, if you want to withdraw your Bitcoin, it's going to be from the ETF. it's going to be on the BlackRock fork. And you think Coinbase is going to support the BlackRock fork? I mean, why wouldn't they? Like Coinbase, they want to win.
Yes.
They want to be on the side of the winner.
Totally.
Don't you?
Yeah.
So, so I think that, there's a timeline where this becomes like a hostile takeover of Bitcoin. And I don't want that to happen. But, Bitcoin doesn't have a coherent governance system. It's the way that sense making, when you have people with different points of views who, it can be adversarial to the point of okay, I disagree about this, but there's some kind of it's a positive sum game where you kind of drift closer to the truth together, right? That sort of thing is not happening in the Bitcoin community on Twitter or any of the other social forums, and it's absolutely not an accident. I think it's sense making is how communities kind of reach consensus. Any kind of disagreement is blown up and way out of proportion into some kind of religious difference, and we got to have a jihad about filters, and so I'm concerned. That's why I'm putting so much energy into this, because I don't want Bitcoin to die, but at least if Bitcoin dies, maybe at least we can keep the spirit of Bitcoin in something new, and we can take everything we've learned up to this point and put it in a new chain. Bitcoin's now in the realm of nation states. It's it's a topic relevant to war, and what nations would like to damage Bitcoin, and which of those nations might have access to a quantum computer at some point. I don't know what the solution is, because there's no. I think one of the biggest problems with the Bitcoin community is you have no idea, out of all these Bitcoin influencers with the shiny eyes and everything, you have no idea how many people even own Bitcoin. There's no sense of how much skin in the game do these people have, or do they have some kind of external thing that they're benefiting from? The Polymarket has this down where if you comment on something, they show your bet. It's okay, this person is betting it's going this way, so interpret it accordingly. And something like Polkadot has conviction weighted voting, where you get to vote on how things go, and the weight of your vote is proportional to how much you have at stake and how long you've locked it up for. So Bitcoin doesn't have that, and I think and I don't think it's ever going to have that without some very radical changes. So in the meantime, now we're just until then we're going to have just religious wars with armies of astroturfers online and influencers who where do they come from? I don't know. Who do they work for? I don't know. They seem to talk about child porn a lot. That's the narrative with the whole filters thing now, is they're just well, someone's going to put child porn on your computer if you run knots. It was what? Do you realize how crazy this sounds? The fact that they're willing to do this in public, this is some mafia shit you would expect to happen behind closed doors. Be hey, we're gonna find something on your computer if you don't comply, right? But they're openly saying this to people on Twitter, and and I'm pretty sure both sides of them are in on it. They're just playing out this sort of this theater in public, and just oh, if you try to defect, what's going to happen, right? And so, whenever people start talking about putting child porn on someone's computer, you can bet there's some nasty feds nearby. That's I guarantee it. There's no good people do not talk about that. Good people don't think about that. It's such a horrifying thought to most people that Anyway, so it's a long, weird answer to your question, but yeah, I think Bitcoin's in trouble.
Bitcoin is in trouble. According to you, on which year do you think quantum computing will be on a level that it can attack blockchains like Bitcoin, Sui, Solana, Ethereum?
Well, I mean, the easy part of this answer is that most of them have very similar key systems or key sizes. So basically, if you can crack one of them, you can probably crack all of them.
Okay.
So that makes the sort of answer simpler. In terms of, I don't know. It could be that somebody already has a quantum computer that can do that, and that we just haven't been told. That's sort of a worst case scenario. Best case scenario is it's going to take 5 to 10 years or something. But we just saw there was this paper in Nature recently that they got 6,000 qubits using. They use neutral atoms. Have you heard of optical tweezers?
No.
So this is quite an advanced physics technique, but they basically you can use, so like when you shoot a photon or you shoot a light beam at something, it has energy, it emits a small force on the thing. So you can kind of like arrange lasers in such a way that that it can hold an atom kind of like in place, like tweezers.
Okay.
And then they can move it, and so they set up 6,000 of these atoms and with these tweezers, and they get them entangled. And again, like, there's so much at stake here, and academics are also known for lying to get grant funding. So you can't know for just because they published it in Nature doesn't mean it really happened. But it certainly doesn't look like it's that far off, because now we're talking about, I'll give you some numbers. This is 6,000 physical qubits, right? So there's this notion of physical and logical qubits, and the idea is like the physical is like, how is it represented in the physical substrate, whether that's like a circuit, with bits, or in this case atoms, and then from that, how you derive a logical qubit, which and because you need error correction, you may need many physical for a single logical, and so like the logical layer is sort of like what you do on a chalkboard, or like when you write a program. In theory, that program should run on any computer, but in practice, you have like a specific way of implementing that in the physical world. And so, sometimes you see these estimates, we need millions of qubits in order to crack Bitcoin keys. And I think this is kind of misleading, because the number of logical qubits we need is like around 2,500 to crack Bitcoin keys. Now, how many physical is that? Well, it depends on your error rate. If your error rate is really bad, that could be millions of physical qubits.
Okay.
But what's the primary engineering question here is, how do we get that error rate down? Because if you get it down to something like what we have with classical computing, we already have enough qubits to crack Bitcoin keys. So the question is, how do we get that error rate down? And does someone know how to make that error rate smaller without telling us? Okay. And so 6,000 qubits is a if they're telling the truth, it's an achievement, and it also makes it look really close. That like it could be one or two breakthroughs from here until they can crack the keys. And like, you don't think that like, if you're the scientist working on this, you don't think there's some government man who taps you on the shoulder and be like, hey, listen, maybe don't keep us informed. Tell us first.
Yes.
Or we'll put child porn on your computer.
What's the one biggest goal you have at Quantus?
I want to make the best form of money that's ever been. I want it to be future proof. The whole abstract ideal of money is that you get to pick where your money goes. It's your energy, and it can only leave you with your consent. And so to me, this is like the whole spirit of blockchain was, we're going to enshrine property rights into a technology that cannot be revoked. So because there's many countries where property rights are more protected or less protected, and generally the more you protect property rights, the wealthier that country is. So this is a way of bringing tremendous wealth to the world if we can end the debate about whether property should be something. This is what I love about technology. It ends debates.
Yes.
And so we're gonna make sure that private property is a thing that everybody on planet Earth can enjoy.
That's the goal.
There's a lot of dumb ways you can lose your crypto, not even just from quantum computers, just from sending it to the wrong place, and
yes.
So we're also trying to work on that. Anyway, thanks for coming on the show. It's really been great.
Thank you
talking to
so much for inviting. It was one of the best conversations.
Oh, thanks, bro. Come here.